Today is Chapter 6. Remember, they're on the way to the doctor. Dr. E.O. Moneybaker and One Shot. Oops. So there's the doctor. Oops. There's the doctor, and there's One Shot. Why do you think he's called One Shot? What's that? What is he holding right there? It's like a camera. Doctors came, doctors went. Some swooped in for a nose-to-nose examination. Others stayed put in the hallway, holding a tissue over their noses as if Duke might be contagious. They poked at Duke, shined bright lights on him, shaking their heads. They went to get other doctors. The parade lasted through the rest of the morning and on into the afternoon. X-rays, needles, questions, the works. Where had he been? What had he been doing? Why had he waited so long to come in? Duke answered everything with his terribly innocent voice, the one that makes teachers bite their tongues and go red in the face. The only doctor who believed a word of what Duke had to say was the very last one, who arrived after supper and billed himself as a local rhinoceros horn expert. They'd had to call him in from old folks' home, which explained why Dr. E.O. Moneybaker used 2 canes, 2 hearing aids, and 2 pairs of eyeglasses. Actually, he wore only 1 set of eyeglasses, but they were as thick as 2. The doctor wasn't traveling alone either. At his side slouched a short, grumpy man with a black mustache that bristled like porcupine quills. A large camera hung around the sidekick's neck. He snapped pictures for the local newspaper, and everyone called him One Shot, on account that that's all he needed to get the job done. He wore a rumpled black suit with pockets that sagged with film canisters and sandwich and things. "My picture's going to be in the paper?" Duke asked, perking up. "Not a chance," One Shot told him. "He's here at my request," Dr. E.O. Moneybaker said in a weak, raspy voice. "I've been writing a scientific paper on these horns for years. If I'm ever going to see it in the New England Journal of Medicine, I'll need photographs." "You've seen this condition before?" Aunt Phyllis was hovering. "Most definitely," the doctor replied, pulling out a cloth tape measure and holding it up to Duke's horn. After scribbling measurements down in a notebook, he waved One Shot forward, saying, "Front and side view, please." "Front, side, top, bottom," One Shot said, swinging into action. "It doesn't matter, Doc, and you know it." I wonder why it doesn't matter. To Aunt Phyllis, he explained, "I've been taking pictures along this stretch of river for going on 30 years, seen stuff that turned my hair white, but none of it ever shows up on film." "There's not a white hair on your head," the doctor objected. "Course not. I have to dye it about once a week. The stuff I've seen along the river." Snapping a shot of Duke's front and side, One Shot promised he'd run the film over to Dr. Moneybaker's residence before nap time was over. "Around here, that's dusk." So those little bugs that fly around at dusk time, they call it nap time. The doctor waved the photographer on his way and turned his attention to Duke's ears, peering inside them with the light. "Is he going to be all right?" Aunt Phyllis asked. "Hard to say," Dr. Moneybaker said. "Sometimes this condition clears up on its own, almost overnight. Sometimes it gets worse. Hooves have been known to develop." Pulling out a magnifying glass, he picked up one of Duke's hands for a look. "Nothing here yet." "Is that all?" Aunt Phyllis braced herself for the worst. "In about half the cases I've seen," the doctor rambled on, checking down the back of Duke's pants, "patients have been known to disappear." Letting go of Duke's pants, he added, "No tail yet. We're not exactly sure what makes them disappear. Maybe they run away. Maybe they're taken. Sometimes there's a sign of a struggle. All that we can say for positive is that once they're gone, they don't come back." "Heavens!" Aunt Phyllis gasped. "How can I not have heard of this? I'm a school nurse." "Oh, well, I see a case only once or twice a year at the most, and you know how hush-hush families get when they think something rivery is going on." The main thing is not to let him out of your sight. Reaching into a pocket, the doctor pulled out a purple dog leash. This should help you with that. Whoa, Duke squawked. I'm not wearing anything that's purple. Don't worry, the doctor told Aunt Phyllis. They all talked tough at first. Listen, you old wreck, Duke started to say, but before he could finish his insult, he cried out and made a grab for his nose, which was having a growth spurt again, because he was just being mean again. Isn't there anything else we can do? Aunt Phyllis replied. Nothing that's been proven, the doctor stated, holding up his magnifying glass to Duke's nose. What about a genuine act of kindness? I asked, feeling silly, but figuring I better mention it. Aunt Phyllis was looking as though the world might end any second. She must know her son. I expected to be shushed by Aunt Phyllis or shoulder punched by Duke, but before either could act, the doctor took an interest in my question, saying, Have you had contact with an old lady in a rowboat? That old biddy, Duke muttered. She was involved in my very first case of rhinocerositis, the doctor told him. 50-some years back she showed up in a rowboat. Was an old woman back then, too. She's figured in about half the cases I've worked. Enough, Duke wailed. That old goat didn't have anything to do with my nose. Just give me a pill or something and let's get out of this dump. Has he always carried on like this? The doctor asked. Pretty much, Aunt Phyllis admitted, embarrassed. Well, that is something I can give you a pill for. We found it to be very effective in cases like this. About dusk, we left the hospital with some pretty pink pills. Duke's nose was bandaged up neat as a package, and there was a dog leash attached to his wrist. All right, so I have a question for you. They keep mentioning things that are quite rivery. How would you explain what they mean by rivery? And that they don't usually talk about it, it's hush-hush. What would you explain rivery as?